You know what happens when you look in a mirror? You see yourself looking back. That's not complicated. That's not mysterious. That's just the way mirrors work. And here's what I want you to understand today. Right now, in this very moment, your entire life is working exactly the same way. Everything you see out there, everything you experience, every person you meet, every situation you encounter, it's all reflecting something that's already inside you. Now, I know some of you are thinking, wait a minute, that can't be right. I didn't create that difficult person in my life. I didn't ask for these problems. I didn't choose these circumstances. And I hear you. I understand that resistance. But what if I told you that even that resistance, that very thought, is part of the reflection? What if the universe itself, what if the divine, what if God, whatever name you want to give to that infinite intelligence, is simply mirroring back to you exactly what you're putting out? This isn't about blame. This isn't about making you feel bad. This is about power. This is about recognizing that you have so much more control over your reality than you ever thought possible. Because if life is reflecting you, then that means you can change what you see by changing what you are. Think about the people in your life who seem angry all the time. They walk around and somehow mysteriously everyone they meet is rude to them. The cashier is rude, the driver in the next car is rude, their coworker is rude, their family members are rude, and they tell you the world is just full of angry, rude people. But then you meet someone else who walks through the same world, the same streets, the same stores, and everyone they meet is kind and helpful and warm. Same world, different reflection. Why? Because they're carrying something different inside. You are not a victim of the world you see. You are the creator of it. Now, that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. We've been conditioned to believe that life happens to us, that we're at the mercy of circumstances, that we're powerless against the forces that surround us. But that's the biggest lie ever told. The truth is that you are the force. You are the energy that shapes your reality. And the moment you start to understand this, everything changes. Let me tell you something about God, about the universe, about that higher power. It doesn't judge you. It doesn't reward some and punish others. It doesn't play favorites. It simply reflects. It's like the most perfect mirror ever created, and it shows you exactly what you're being, not what you're pretending to be, not what you wish you were, but what you actually are in your core. When you walk around feeling like a victim, life gives you more reasons to feel victimized. When you walk around feeling abundant, life brings you more abundance. When you walk around feeling loved, love shows up everywhere. This isn't magic. This isn't wishful thinking. This is the way the universe operates. It's law. It's physics on a spiritual level. You see, most people spend their entire lives trying to change the reflection. They look in the mirror and they don't like what they see, so they try to rearrange the image in the mirror. They try to change other people. They try to control circumstances. They try to manipulate outcomes. And it's exhausting. It doesn't work. Because you can't change the reflection by touching the mirror. You have to change what's standing in front of it. So if you don't like what you're seeing in your life, if you're surrounded by negativity, if doors keep closing, if opportunities keep slipping away, if people keep disappointing you, stop looking out there for the problem. The problem isn't out there. The answer isn't out there. Everything you need is inside you right now. You want to see different results? Become a different person. You want to attract different people? Become the kind of person who attracts what you desire. Now, I'm not talking about fake it till you make it. I'm not talking about putting on a mask or pretending to be something you're not. I'm talking about genuine transformation. I'm talking about changing your inner dialogue, your beliefs, your energy, your vibration, because that's what the mirror reflects. Not your words, not your wishes, your actual state of being. You know what happens when you truly understand this principle? You stop complaining. You stop blaming. You stop making excuses. Because you realize that every complaint is just you announcing what you're creating. Every time you say, nobody respects me, you're actually putting out the energy of someone who doesn't respect themselves, and the universe mirrors that right back to you. Every time you say, I never have enough money, you're vibrating at the frequency of lack, and guess what shows up? More lack. But here's the beautiful part. The mirror doesn't care what you've been, it only reflects what you are. Right now. That means you can change the reflection at any moment. Right now, today, this very second. You don't have to wait for circumstances to change. You don't have to wait for other people to change. You just have to change what you're putting out. Let's talk about God for a minute. So many people have this idea that God is somewhere up there watching, judging, deciding who gets blessings and who gets lessons. But what if God isn't separate from you at all? What if God is the field of infinite possibility that responds to your consciousness? What if God is the mirror that reflects your inner world back to you? When you pray from a place of fear and desperation, you're telling the universe, I am afraid, I am desperate. And the universe says, okay, I'll show you more things to be afraid and desperate about. But when you pray from a place of gratitude and faith, when you pray as if your prayers are already answered, you're telling the universe, I am blessed, I am abundant, I am whole. And the universe reflects that back to you. This is why gratitude is so powerful, because when you're grateful, you're acknowledging that you already have. You're not vibrating at the frequency of lack, you're vibrating at the frequency of abundance. And that's what gets reflected back to you, more to be grateful for. Think about the most peaceful person you know, the one who seems to glide through life while everyone else is stressed and anxious. What's their secret? They're not living in a different world than you. They're living in the same world, but they're bringing peace to it. And so the world mirrors peace back to them. They're not reacting to chaos. They're not feeding into drama. They're grounded in their own inner calm, and that's what they see reflected everywhere they go. You can do the same thing. Right now, you don't need to change your circumstances first. You change yourself, and the circumstances shift naturally. It's not the other way around. It's never been the other way around. We've just been taught backwards. Here's something that might challenge you. The people who irritate you the most, the ones who push your buttons, they're not in your life by accident. They're mirrors too. They're showing you something about yourself that you haven't healed yet. Maybe they're showing you your own impatience. Maybe they're showing you your own judgment. Maybe they're showing you your own need to control. And you can get angry at them. You can try to change them. You can remove them from your life. But until you heal what they're reflecting, someone else will show up to mirror the same thing. This is why some people keep attracting the same type of partner over and over again. They think, why do I always end up with someone who's emotionally unavailable? Or why do I always attract people who lie to me? And the answer is always the same, because something inside you is vibrating at that frequency. Maybe you're emotionally unavailable to yourself. Maybe you're lying to yourself about what you really want or who you really are. The universe doesn't bring you what you want. It brings you what you are. But listen to this, that means healing yourself heals your world. When you do the inner work, when you face your shadows, when you love yourself completely, the reflection changes. Those difficult people either change, or they naturally fall away, or they stop bothering you because you're no longer resonating with what they represent. You want more love in your life? Be more loving. Not just to others, but to yourself. You want more respect? Respect yourself first. You want more peace? Stop fighting with yourself internally. The war inside you creates the war around you. The peace inside you creates the peace around you. Now, I know some of you are thinking about big tragedies, big challenges, things that seem too big to have been created by your own vibration. And I want to be sensitive to that. I'm not saying you caused every terrible thing that ever happened to you. But I am saying that your response to those things, your interpretation of those things, and what you choose to make them mean, that's all within your control. And that determines what comes next. Two people can go through the same trauma. One person lets it define them, and they spend the rest of their life vibrating at the frequency of that wound, and they keep attracting situations that reinforce their victim story. The other person transforms that trauma into wisdom, into compassion, into strength, and they start attracting opportunities for healing and growth and service. Same event, different reflection, because they chose differently about what to do with their inner world. You are so much more powerful than you've been told. You've been walking around thinking you're at the mercy of the economy, at the mercy of other people's opinions, at the mercy of your genetics, at the mercy of your past, but none of that has any power over you unless you give it power. The only power anything has in your life is the power you assign to it in your mind. What if you started living today as if you already knew this truth completely? What if you woke up tomorrow and said, I am the source of everything I experience. If I want something different, I need to be something different. How would that change the way you move through your day? You'd stop waiting for permission. You'd stop waiting for the right time. You'd stop waiting for someone else to believe in you. Because you'd know that the universe is just waiting to reflect back whatever you put out. You'd start being generous because you'd know that generosity comes back to you. You'd start being kind because you'd know that kindness comes back to you. You'd start being confident because you'd know that confidence attracts situations that confirm your confidence. Let me tell you about resistance. The reason this message is hard for some people to accept is because it means taking full responsibility, and responsibility scares people. They'd rather blame the government, blame their parents, blame their ex, blame the weather, blame anything except themselves. Because blame feels safer. Blame lets you off the hook, but blame also keeps you powerless. Responsibility isn't about fault, it's about power. When you take responsibility for your inner world, you take back your power to change it. When you give that responsibility away, when you make other people or circumstances responsible for how you feel, you've just given them all your power. You are not responsible for what happened to you, but you are responsible for what you do with what happened to you. You are not responsible for how other people treat you, but you are responsible for how you treat yourself and how you respond. And when you own that responsibility completely, you become unstoppable. Because now, you're not waiting for the world to change. You're changing, and the world has no choice but to mirror that change. Here's something beautiful. When you change, you give other people permission to change too. Your transformation isn't just about you. When you start living from this higher understanding, when you start being the change instead of demanding the change, you become a light. And people are drawn to light. They don't even know why. They just feel something different about you. They feel something possible around you, and that inspires them to look at their own reflection differently. You become a teacher without trying to teach. You become a healer without trying to heal. Just by being the fullest, most authentic, most loving version of yourself, you change the field around you. And that field touches everyone you encounter. Now, let's talk about what you're focusing on. Because your focus is everything. What you focus on expands. If you focus on what's wrong, you'll see more of what's wrong. If you focus on what's right, you'll see more of what's right. The universe doesn't judge your focus. It just delivers more of whatever you're focusing on. This is why watching the news all day, complaining with your friends, rehearsing old wounds, replaying old arguments, it all keeps you stuck. Because every time you do that, you're focusing on what you don't want, and the universe says, "Oh, you want more of this? Here you go." It doesn't understand that you're focusing on it because you don't like it. It just knows you're focusing on it, so it gives you more to focus on. But when you start focusing on what's beautiful, what's working, what's possible, what you're grateful for, the universe brings you more of that. It's not being nice to you. It's not rewarding you for being positive. It's just mirroring your focus. So many people are walking around focused on their limitations. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have enough education. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough connections. And all of that is just focus. And all of that creates a reflection that confirms those limitations. But you could just as easily focus on your strengths, your gifts, your opportunities, your potential, and you'd start seeing evidence of those things instead. The question isn't whether you can do this. The question is, will you? Because it requires vigilance. It requires awareness. It requires you to catch yourself when you're about to complain, when you're about to judge, when you're about to play small, and choose differently, again and again and again. This isn't about being perfect. This is about being intentional. This is about waking up to the fact that every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take is sending out a signal. And that signal is being reflected back to you constantly. You know what changes when you really get this? You stop taking things personally. Because you realize that other people's behavior is their reflection, not yours. When someone is rude to you, that's showing you what's going on inside them. It has nothing to do with you unless you make it about you. And if you do make it about you, if you get offended, if you get hurt, that's showing you something about your own need for approval or your own insecurity. The situation is just revealing what was already there. But when you're solid in yourself, when you know who you are, when you're not looking for the world to validate you, other people's stuff doesn't stick to you. You can have compassion for them without taking on their energy. You can be kind without being affected because you're not looking for them to reflect your worth. You already know your worth. And here's the thing about worthiness. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to wait for someone to give it to you. You are worthy because you exist. That's it. The universe doesn't question your worthiness. Only you do. And when you stop questioning it, when you just own it, the reflection changes immediately. Opportunities show up, synchronicities happen, doors open. Not because you suddenly became worthy, but because you finally stopped blocking the flow with your doubts and your fears and your stories about not being enough. Let me tell you something about scarcity. Scarcity is a lie. There is no scarcity in the universe. There's only scarcity in our thinking. The universe is infinitely abundant. There's enough for everyone, more than enough. But when you operate from scarcity, when you believe there's not enough to go around, when you hoard and compete and grasp, you create the experience of scarcity in your life. The universe mirrors your belief. But when you operate from abundance, when you give freely, when you trust that there's more where that came from, when you celebrate other people's success instead of feeling threatened by it, you open yourself to the flow of abundance. And it comes not because you did something right, but because you removed the blocks. Everything you want is trying to get to you, but you're blocking it with your beliefs, your fears, your old stories, your resistance. You're standing in front of the mirror making angry faces and wondering why the reflection looks angry. Change your face, change what you're putting out, and watch what comes back. This applies to health too. Your body is listening to everything you think about it. Every time you criticize your body, every time you focus on what's wrong with it, you're sending a message, and your body responds to that message. But when you love your body, when you appreciate it, when you focus on its strength and its resilience and its ability to heal, you're sending a different message. And your body responds to that too. I'm not saying you can think your way out of every illness, but I am saying that your mental and emotional state affects your physical state. They're not separate. They're all part of the same system. And that system is always reflecting your inner world. The same is true for your relationships. If you believe relationships are hard, yours will be. If you believe people always let you down, they will. Not because that's true about relationships or about people, but because that's what you're expecting, and the universe delivers what you expect. But if you believe relationships are opportunities for growth and love, if you expect people to show up for you, if you trust that the right people are coming into your life at the right time, that becomes your experience. Same universe, different reflection. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Even your concept of God or the universe or whatever higher power you believe in, that's a reflection too. If you see God as judgmental and punishing, you'll live in fear and guilt. If you see God as distant and uncaring, you'll feel abandoned. If you see God as loving and supportive, you'll feel held and guided. But God hasn't changed. Your perception has. And your perception creates your experience. The divine is like a blank screen, and you project onto it whatever is inside you. Some people project a harsh father. Some people project an indifferent force. Some people project pure love. And then they experience exactly what they projected. This is why your spiritual practice matters so much. Not because you have to appease some external deity, but because your spiritual practice shapes your inner world, and your inner world creates your outer experience. When you meditate, you're not trying to get somewhere. You're not trying to achieve something. You're simply becoming aware of what's already there. You're cleaning the mirror so you can see more clearly. And when you see more clearly, you can choose more consciously. And when you choose more consciously, you create more intentionally. Prayer works the same way. You're not begging an outside force to change your circumstances. You're aligning your inner world with what you want to experience. You're changing your vibration. And when your vibration changes, the reflection changes. This is why affirmations work for some people and not for others. If you say, I am abundant, but you don't believe it, if there's no feeling behind it, if you're just repeating words while your inner world is screaming, no, you're not, then nothing changes. The words don't matter. The inner state matters. The universe responds to your vibration, not your vocabulary. But when you say, I am abundant, and you feel it, when you can tap into that feeling of already having, when you can generate that emotion in your body, that's when things shift. Because now you're not just saying it, you're being it, and the universe mirrors what you're being. Let's talk about the past for a minute. So many people are imprisoned by their past. They use their history as evidence for what's possible in their future. I've always struggled with money. so I always will. I've always been shy, so I can't change now. I've always been hurt in relationships, so I can't trust anyone. But your past is not your future unless you keep bringing it into your present. Every moment is a new moment. Every day is a chance to generate a new vibration. You are not the same person you were yesterday, let alone 10 years ago. Your cells have changed, your body has changed. You are literally not the same physical being. So why would you keep the same identity? The only reason your past predicts your future is because you keep repeating the same thoughts, the same patterns, the same behaviors. You keep standing in front of the mirror the same way. But you can change your stance right now. You can let go of old stories. You can choose a new identity. And the moment you do, the reflection starts to shift. Forgiveness is a huge part of this. Not because the person who hurt you deserves it, but because you deserve to be free. When you hold on to resentment, when you replay old wounds, when you keep score, you're keeping yourself tied to that energy. And the universe keeps bringing you situations that match that energy. More to resent, more to be angry about, more to feel victimized by. But when you forgive, when you release, when you say that was then, this is now, and I choose peace, you free yourself. And that freedom shows up in your reflection. New people, new opportunities, new experiences. Because you're no longer vibrating at the frequency of the wound. Forgiveness isn't about them, it's about you. It's about choosing your freedom over your rightness. It's about choosing your future over your past. And when you make that choice, everything changes. Here's a practice I want you to try. For the next week, just notice. Notice what you're thinking. Notice what you're saying. Notice what you're focusing on. Don't try to change anything yet. Just notice. Because most people are unconscious. They're on autopilot. They're repeating the same thoughts they've been thinking for years, and they wonder why their life looks the same. Awareness is the first step. You can't change what you're not aware of. So just notice. Notice how often you complain. Notice how often you criticize yourself. Notice how often you focus on problems instead of solutions. Notice how often you talk about what you don't want instead of what you do want. And then, once you've noticed, you can start to choose differently. You can catch yourself mid-complaint and switch to gratitude. You can catch yourself mid-criticism and choose compassion. You can catch yourself focusing on problems and redirect to possibilities. It's not easy at first. Your brain has neural pathways, habits, patterns. But every time you choose differently, you weaken the old pathway and strengthen a new one. And eventually the new way becomes automatic. That's when your life really transforms. Because now you're not just doing this practice. You are the practice. It's who you've become. And that's what the universe responds to. Not your efforts, not your struggle, your being, who you are, what you're radiating. And when you're radiating love, peace, abundance, confidence, gratitude, the universe has no choice but to reflect that back to you. You are not separate from God. You are not separate from the universe. You are not separate from the field of infinite possibility. You are an expression of it. You are a focal point of it. And you have the power to direct it with your consciousness. This isn't arrogance. This isn't ego. This is truth. This is how it works. You've always had this power. You've just been using it unconsciously, by default, creating through lack of awareness instead of through intention. But now, you know. And knowing changes everything. So what are you going to do with this knowledge? Are you going to keep blaming your circumstances? Are you going to keep waiting for someone to save you? Are you going to keep looking outside yourself for validation and approval and permission? Or are you going to step into your power? Are you going to take responsibility for your inner world? Are you going to become the person whose life you want to live? Because I promise you, when you change, when you truly change at the level of your being, your life will reflect that change. It has to. It's law. The mirror cannot show you something different than what's standing in front of it. And here's the most beautiful part. You don't have to believe me. You can test this. You can experiment. Start small. Choose one area of your life where you want to see change. And instead of trying to change the circumstances, change yourself in relationship to those circumstances. Change your thoughts about it. Change your feelings about it. Change your vibration around it. And watch what happens. You'll start seeing evidence. Little things at first. Synchronicities. Coincidences that aren't coincidences. Opportunities that seem to appear out of nowhere. And the more evidence you see, the stronger your belief becomes. And the stronger your belief becomes, the more evidence you see. It becomes a beautiful upward spiral. This is how you create a life you love. Not by forcing, not by manipulating, not by controlling, but by becoming the person who lives that life. By aligning your inner world with your desired outer world, and then allowing the universe to reflect that alignment back to you. You are the artist and the art. You are the singer and the song. You are the creator and the creation. Everything is you experiencing you. Everything is consciousness, experiencing itself through the form of your individual life. And you get to choose what that experience looks like by choosing what you are being. So be loving, be kind, be generous, be confident, be peaceful, be joyful. Not because life has given you reasons to be those things, but because you choose to be those things. And then watch as life gives you all the reasons to continue. This is your birthright. This is your power. This is the truth of who you are. You are not small. You are not limited. You are not at the mercy of the world. You are the force that shapes the world. You are the consciousness that creates the experience. And God, the universe, the divine, whatever you want to call it, is not separate from you, watching you, judging you. It is the field of pure potential that responds to you, mirrors you, reflects you. It says yes to everything you are. So if you're being lack, it says yes to lack. If you're being abundance, it says yes to abundance. If you're being fear, it says yes to fear. If you're being love, it says yes to love. The universe is not personal. It's universal. It works the same for everyone, the same laws, the same principles, the same reflection. What you put out is what you get back. What you are is what you experience. So right now, in this moment, what are you being? What are you putting out? What is your inner world like? Because that's what your outer world is going to become, if it hasn't already. Are you being grateful or resentful? Are you being open or closed? Are you being trusting or fearful? Are you being loving or judgmental? Whatever it is, that's fine. No judgment. But know that whatever it is, that's what's coming back to you. And if you don't like what you're experiencing, you have the power to change it. Right now, not tomorrow, not when circumstances improve, not when other people change. Now, change what you're being, and the reflection will change. You are that powerful. You've always been that powerful. And now that you know it, now that you really understand that life is reflecting you, that even God is a mirror of your inner world, you can never unknow it. This knowledge has changed you. And because you've changed, your life is about to change too. Welcome to the truth. Welcome to your power. Welcome home.